Hey folks, it's Tom, your frugal prepper. You might notice that there is something missing from my garage. I had to do my son's head gasket today. My friend who was a mechanic came over and helped me knock that out. We did a head gasket on that Honda Civic in 1 hour and 20 minutes. And he fried that old one pretty good. He overheated it. I still have to clean up the tool cart and put that stuff back away again. But, you know, I had the garage all cleaned up before that. But the Chevy Malibu is out here. It is fixed and done. So my friend who is a mechanic, his son needs a car. His old one is on like his second. Well, so really it's his third engine, but I put a new head gasket and kind of tried to do a cheap rebuild on his third engine, which was his first engine. But it is pushing coolant or pushing oil into the coolant. It doesn't push the coolant into the oil, only the oil into the coolant. It's smoking pretty bad too, so we're probably just going to go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and buy an engine. We swap that engine. But he needed a car for now, so I told my friend that was a mechanic, hey, if you want to come over and finish up the Malibu, your son can have it. And so here's his Saturn. We have to wait on all these stupid motorcycles. The police around here just aren't doing anything about traffic and motorcycle and dirt bikes. I've talked to the city commissioners. They just don't care. We're going to need a new police chief, I think. But so here's the Saturn, and he gave me this car, and I'm going to fix it up and put a new engine in it. But here's the Malibu. It's done. So let me pop the hood here. So it's all in here. It runs great. The only problem we ran into was the map sensor was the wrong one, and the correct one won't fit in this intake because it has too small of a hole. So the upper intake is different between the Pontiac G6 that I got this out of. And so this is the Pontiac G6 intake. The old Malibu intake had a bigger hole and a bigger map sensor. I found another map sensor and I ground it down a little bit and put some silicone on it, made it fit, and it fits the plug because this one would not originally fit the plug. The Pontiac had a 2-wire sensor and the Malibu had a 3. Well, I found a sensor that would fit that plug. I ground it down, made it fit, but it runs really rich and crappy with that on there. Barely start. Unplug it, starts and runs fine. So what we're gonna probably do is just eventually get the right upper intake for it and swap that out. But it didn't say that in the book, and I let the old intake go back with the old core. So, but it's all in here, set up, running, runs good. I'll go ahead and fire it up for you. It has a little bit of an exhaust leak. I didn't really have that before, I don't think, but they're gonna take it. He's gonna take it to the exhaust shop. Power steering pump is noisy. It quiets down after a minute. But it'll quiet down after a minute. So that pump was leaking, and they've run it dead on, low on fluid. So it needs a new power steering pump. But other than that, she runs good. We got the headlight replaced. I had my headlight ball over here. And where this wouldn't fit before, it had a metal tube that ran over to a different insert than this cap. And we just extended that. I used a couple of air fittings, put them together, and made an extension to go over here so that overflow will work. And we can use that Pontiac cap because the one from the Malibu did not work. See if I can get that power steering pump to quiet down. It quiets down as you use it. Yeah. Well, that's a noisy one. But it's a service traction control. I think it's got a bad wheel speed sensor in it too. But this is good enough to get him driving for now. And then I'm going to get a motor for the Saturn, and I'm going to swap that out. This is a pretty easy 4-cylinder one. I've helped swap this engine out a couple times already. So this will probably just be a spare car for my son, because his Honda keeps breaking down. He had a thermostat lock up, he overheated it, and I saw that there was some antifreeze in one of the cylinders. I was like, uh-oh. We put some head gasket sealer in it. Then he had a heater hose blow, and he overheated it again. And today he's like, it's just overheating whenever I'm at a stoplight. And he brought it over, and it was huffing exhaust out the radiator by that point. So he blew the head gasket. So we just went up and got a head gasket. We did the zip tie around the camshaft sprocket, so you don't have to take off the timing belt, and just pulled that sucker up off of there real quick. Which I didn't actually think about ever doing zip ties around the camshaft sprocket. My friend who's a mechanic's like, yeah, that's a cheap way to do them. But yeah, or an easier way to do them. So we did that. It worked great. It worked great. We got the door repaired too. It's got a padlock on it right now, but we just patched it together at the bottom, so that opens and closes. And then we put the big air conditioner from the shed in here. And so I'd say, like, if it got up to like 90 some degrees yesterday, the thermometer outside said 98. But the weather people don't say it's that hot. But and we didn't get it in here till later in the morning, so it really just couldn't cool it down. It took it down to about 80 degrees, but wouldn't cool it down any more than that. And so, and plus everything in the garage was hot and warm too, right? So what I've determined is I left it running overnight, and then today it stayed nice and cool in here all day, even though it got hot. So I think it's just I need to come out the night before I'm going to work in the garage, turn that baby on. So if it's a Friday night, I'm going to be working out here on Saturday, turn that thing on, let it run. I don't have any insulation up here or anything either, so you know that doesn't help, but it keeps it bearable in here when it's really, really hot. But she's clean again. I'm gonna get my Rendezvous in here and change the oil and stuff in it, and then I'll get that Saturn. I'm gonna get an engine for the Saturn first and move it in, then pull the Saturn in, then pull that engine out, and I can kind of back it out halfway, pull the engine, and then get the other engine and drop it in. The only thing I'm not sure about is my friend who's the mechanic did the starter on it, and he always kind of complains when he has to do the starter. So I was like, I think that starter's a hard one to get to. So he said he would come over and help me get the starter. But all the stuff on the top and sides and stuff I think I can do. And yeah. So I'm pretty happy with how the garage is kind of turning out and working. It was more organized than this, but I am tired. It's been a long day. I did gardening last night after we finished the Malibu. And then we worked on the Malibu more this morning. And then we got the garage all cleaned up. And then my son come over and blew his head gasket. But he blew it pretty good here. I'll show you. Yeah. He just fried it all up in there. I mean, he's just fried it in multiple places, in between cylinders. And yeah, he was pumping compression out. Yeah, that's been all hot and fried. He just fried it. So we just did that, and I did not check it to see if it was warped. I did not put new head bolts on it. I reused the intake manifold gasket, the exhaust manifold gasket. I just put a head gasket on it. It was $55 or something. Put that on there and just got them running for now. And I don't know, if the head's all warped, it might go out tomorrow. I have a feeling it'll probably last for a while, as long as he doesn't overheat it. You know, those Hondas, when you overheat them a lot, they have a tendency to blow a head gasket. So, all right, folks. Well, that's all I got for now. I'm going to go inside and relax. Oh, he needs new spark plugs, too. I was looking up some spark plugs for him. He's got a misfire on cylinder 1, and that's actually from spark plugs. It's actually cylinder 4 that I saw the fluid leaking in. So, and I did a video. I did a great, like, little video part showing you me using the borescope and going down in that cylinder and showing what it looked like, what's some fluid in it. And I discovered I forgot to hit the record button. After, you know, later when I was editing the video, right, I'm like, oh, I'm missing that clip. So I didn't publish that, but yeah. And then, so after that, I was like, I think it needs a head gasket. We'll put some head gasket sealer in it. And he lost the thermostat. We replaced the thermostat. It was stuck shut. And we also, it blew that heater hose. So I think those things all together. And really, the head gasket might have been blowing and building excessive pressure in the system. It might have caused the heater hose to blow. So, you know, it is what it is. It is what it is. But I'm going to get the soldering done. That's going to be a spare car for my son. And then I'm going to buy another car. I'm just going to be careful to look for the right one. I want a small 4-cylinder. A Chevy Cobalt or something like that. And I'm just going to look around till I find one. I do not really ever want to do one of those 3.5s again. Those things are kind of a pain in the butt. You know, I could have got it eventually. I wouldn't have done it as fast as my friend who's a professional mechanic did it. But, you know, I would have got it done. It just would have took me longer, and I would have had to wait till I had more time because I'm so busy doing other things right now. So his son needed it. He was willing to come over and finish it. So that's done, and it can say goodbye, and I can move on to the next good thing. So, all right, folks. I'll talk to y'all later. This is Tom, your Frugal Prepper.